Hello once again everyone, and welcome back to part 2 of my harness. Now that I'm actually able to wear all of my bits again, since they're not being loaned out for Yeehaw, which was a great success, and there will be footage of that coming out. So, I went over my basic footman kit, which is very good for, mostly later period things, so, mid-Renaissance to late Renaissance to early modern. Meanwhile, this is meant to be a bit more beefed up than that. This is kind of my half armor kit, or as I refer to it, my Gallowglass Kit. If you're not familiar with the Gallowglass, they were Scottish and Irish mercenaries who were actually deployed all the way throughout Europe, but in particular, they were rather formidable for fighting with axes and other large two-handed swords, and bows, it should be noted, as well as they lasted for quite a while. So, my kit in this regard, this is one of the easiest kits to build, and because it lasted for so long, I mean, these guys exist from honestly, they go all the way back to the 1200s and kind of keep fighting until the 1680s, so you can, with a small couple of minor changes, make this kit go pretty far. And as for, weapon of choice, like I said, since I'm using the axe, this could be a light axe, this could be a heavy axe, this could be a long sword, something along those lines. Basically, this is the scariest guy in the back of the line, and if you're in a less armored melee, then this is one of the scariest guys you can run into, rather heavily armored infantry. So I've got my Burgonet on again, which dates me to about the 1500s, into the 1600s, slightly earlier period gauntlets. But the main things about this kit, the big addition is my mail shirt, my padded gambeson, and my new forearms. So as far as making a good, let's say medium light infantry, my last set was definitely my lightest infantry. This is a little bit more heavy. The main things you want to focus on building is number one, get mail. Absolutely get mail. Because while plate is actually physically lighter than this, mail moves more with you. So when you need to run, especially up and down a hill like they were doing at Yeehaw, this is a lot less encumbersome than wearing a solid breastplate, especially when you're running down the hill or things along those lines. I can also move a lot more in this kit than I can in a breastplate. I can fully cross my arms still or do anything along those lines that I might need to do. This is also not a bad kit if you are going to be an archer, since you can very easily just take your gauntlets off, shoot, put your gauntlets and your helmet back on, or even just shoot in your helmet, put your face on, like I showed last time. Now, the other main additions to it, of course, besides the mail shirt, which does protect me quite a ways, and I do recommend you go for even though usually historically you see longer mail shirts, I recommend going for something relatively short, so this goes down pretty far onto my midsection, decently far down on my sleeves, and then that keeps my arms relatively light. The gambeson underneath is basically the exact same proportions, just enough to make it so I'm immune to one-handed cuts, and also to keep the weight of the mail off of me. You can just slap mail straight over a fencing jacket or things along those lines, but it does start to suck after a while. I do recommend the padding. Now for the forearms, I chose not to wear any plate with this kit, and the reason for that is because, one, if I want to throw on steel elbows, I have to throw on my steel band braces just because of the way I have things. I recommend keeping your forearms bare. With smaller protectors, my arms are more light. You're usually more used to moving in these sorts of equipment. So honestly, apart from the weight of the mail shirt and the helmet, this feels a lot like my Bloss kit, or like a lot of your Bloss kits probably do feel. And that leads to a lot more simple style of fighting because you're more familiar with what you can and can't do, which is a very good addition for medium light infantry. Because your whole job is to be able to move quickly, kill chaff, being that people in less armor or no armor, and be able to stand up somewhat to more armored people. Like, obviously my Danax has no armor killing capability, but certainly if I had to hold a region, as the Gallowglass often did, I would be able to use this against other polearms quite well, or I could always swap it out for a spear or something along those lines and be a very, very good 3. The other benefit of having just less plate overall, again, it's lighter, it's less exhausting. I'm also much more able to do things myself. In just these forearms as opposed to my plate arms, which I'll have on my next video, I'm able to fully take care of myself without any difficulties. I can put my face on, take my face off, I'm able to do whatever I want, so it's really much more convenient that way. As for the gauntlets, anything will really do. Hourglass gauntlets, mitten gauntlets, what have you. Certainly as more of an axe wielder, you may want something that has more protection on the back, just to give you a little bit of that extra leg up. Now, speaking of legs, no leg harness at all. This is the other bit about being medium light infantry. You might want to wear greaves or elbow or knee cups, or things along those lines, but I recommend you don't. In fact, I think the more modern gear you have in place of steel, the better. You want to be as mobile as possible in this kit so that you can tangle with people who are above your weight class and run away when things are going wrong. Most times when you're fighting, with this sort of kit, by the time you come across someone lightly armored, if they have a long arm, they're going to be trying to kill you in the upper body anyway. No one's taking shots at your legs. That's just not a good idea in the world of doubles. And if they are using sidearms, I have the weapon that keeps them further back anyway. So being able to be more mobile in between those engagements is all good for me. And generally a squad of people working like this can be very, very effective. But, like I said, not a ton necessarily to add to this, just I add my mail shirt, I change out my underlayer, add my forearms to accommodate, and otherwise it's pretty much the same stuff I had before. Good to wield all sorts of weapons, medium light infantry, becoming a 3 with a long pike, or alternatively, cutting up the chaff as they need to. Mobile, deadly, just armored enough to be dangerous. So, with that in mind, thank you very, very much for watching, and we'll go over some other setups of harness another time.